What are the Russians saying about the upcoming summit between Putin and Trump in Alaska? Mercifully, we don't have to wonder about that. We have the Russian media monitor, which it monitors Russian state media channels, especially the propaganda shows, in order to find out. So the first thing you need to understand about this is a really weird symbolic thing for Vladimir Putin, who's going back to Russia, which there's even a popular song about don't be silly, America, give us back Alaska. It's our native Russian land. Wow. And Putin's the first president going there. It's really interesting. So thank you to the Russian Media Monitor for producing this, and we'll just work our way through. I'll read the transcript of or the subtitles of what's here. Thank you to the Russian Media Monitor. They do great work. Look them up. Okay, here we are. The host is coming out. Greetings, dear friends and comrades. Live on air is your favorite program. 60 minutes about everything that matters most. President Putin confirmed that the meeting with Trump will happen. The desire to meet was mutual. Both Moscow and Washington are interested in a normalization of relations. Well, that is what they're most interested in, is normalization of relations, not the end of the war, or should I say the just end of the war in Ukraine. And that's what we really have to keep our eyes on. The Russian president named the UAE as the most likely place where the negotiations will be held. And there was a number of speculations. Will it be at the Vatican or the UAE or some other places? And ultimately, they settled on Alaska, where negotiations will be held. At the same time, conditions for a meeting with Zelensky still have not been met. Okay, so Putin doesn't really want to meet with Zelensky. So I think the effect that's going on is by visiting right now, when Trump has Putin visit him in Alaska, that's problematic, and it's problematic because when Trump's doing that, he's elevating Putin's stature. If Putin does the same thing, he'll be elevating Zelensky's stature, and he certainly does not want to do that. So yeah, that's what the problem is here. So at the same time, conditions for a meeting with Zelensky still have not been met. Listen, how about Zelensky? Will there be a meeting? Putin's being asked. I've already said it many times. I have nothing against in general. It is possible, but for that, certain conditions must be met. Unfortunately, he says, we are still far from creating such conditions. Okay, that's his weasel way out of it. The United States have made Moscow very clear that the Russian side considers it to be acceptable. These are the words of Putin's foreign policy aide. Yushakov stated that Trump's special envoy Witkoff really did touch upon an idea of a trilateral meeting, but I don't see that there's any appetite on the Russian side for a trilateral meeting. I mean, they'll talk about it, but that's as far as it'll go. It won't get beyond having some discussion about having discussions, and that's really where we are. Okay, really did touch on the idea of a trilateral meeting between Putin, Trump, and Zelensky, and of course, that's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. Putin doesn't want that. He just wants to have his elevated status with Trump. Let's listen to Yushakov. At the proposal of the American side, he says, there was an agreement in principle to hold a top-level bilateral meeting in the coming days. Okay, so an agreement in principle is not an agreement. It's not the same kind of thing, right? So if it's just in principle, that's different. Okay, which means a meeting between Presidents Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. But it's only going to be Presidents Putin and Donald Trump. It's not going to be with Zelensky at this time. Okay. Right now, among our American colleagues, we are about to start working on the specific parameters of this meeting and its venue. By the way, I will note the venue has also been coordinated in principle. We will release this information at a later time. This option was simply mentioned by the American representative during the meeting at the Kremlin, but this specific option was not discussed. So they're saying that this whole trilateral talk, it wasn't really something that we discussed. They mentioned it, but we didn't actually agree to anything. So again, there's no appetite to bring Zelensky. Like if Putin really wanted to end this thing, go meet with Zelensky. Let's get that sorted out. But he doesn't really want to end the thing. Russia has not commented on this option in any way. The meeting between Putin and Trump is the main global sensation. Watch our report. Okay, now is something that the Russians really want. They want to be on the elevated world stage, Trump and Putin, but they don't want to be there with Zelensky. Okay, a little bit more. They're looking at a Fox News alert. The fateful Putin-Trump summit will take place next week. U.S. President personally announced the negotiations. We had some very good talk, says Trump, with President Putin today, and there's a very good chance that we could begin ending this conflict. I don't think there's a very good chance of it. I mean, I could be very wrong. I mean, I was wrong about the sanctions kicking in on Friday, like he had said. That was before Witkoff went to Putin and things shifted. And by the way, it looks really bad, but I'm also concerned that Putin might be overplaying his hand again when he meets with Trump for this. So we'll just watch and see. The road was long and continues to be long, says Trump, but there's a good chance that there will be a meeting very soon. Well, there's going to be a meeting very soon. A very important dialogue is taking place with the United States of America in various areas. Many of Russia's adversaries are trying to derail this dialogue. No, they're not trying to derail a dialogue. They're trying to derail a bad plan. Have a dialogue, but why don't you invite Zelensky into the process as well? They are trying to get in the way, trying to misinform the U.S. leadership about various facts. Unquestionably, the summit that is being planned between the leaders of Russia and the United States, that we hope will take place next week, can certainly become an important historic event, an event where Russia's position will be clearly conveyed to President Trump. Okay, but we already know what Russia's position is. It's kind of terrible. I mean, we know what Russia is actually planning or wants to see done. And I think they're going to double down on that and overplay their hand. But that's just my own speculation. And I'm telling you that that's not fact. That's my speculation. Clearly conveyed to President Trump. And we hope that this dialogue will continue even more actively, including the economic area. I worry, but I believe that our government is doing everything it should, and I trust them. I support Putin's policy, says the man on the street interview, or in this case, woman on the street interview, and I want everything to turn out the way that we want it and not the way the Americans want it to. Okay, so I think Putin wins whether he wins or loses in this, because what's going to happen here is that Putin is going to ask for the moon. If he asks for the moon and he gets it, he wins. If he asks for the moon and he doesn't get it and they say he's not ready for this, he still kind of wins because he gets to the delay and he doesn't actually want peace. I think that's what I see here. Okay, that's my read at least. You tell me what you think in the comments below. Zelensky just said that Europe should also participate in peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. Now, this is a day old, and yesterday what happened was that Zelensky did meet with some European leaders, and they did send a European statement to Trump. And so we'll see how that all plays out into part of the process. In peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, at the same time, as of now, no one is planning negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. Only the Putin-Trump summit is being discussed. The Russian stock market reacted to the news about the Putin-Trump meeting by climbing up 4.5%. The experts are divided in their predictions. Some believe that Putin is getting an opportunity to end up as a winner without making any concessions. Others think that if the summit really does happen, the real negotiations may stretch out for months. Well, what did I just say? It's kind of a win this way or win that way kind of gambit for Putin. The real negotiations spread out for months. Two sides have diametrically opposed positions. The White House just refuted the statement by the Kremlin that the meeting between President Trump and the Russian president has already been agreed upon, and the venue has already been determined. Now, this was just before they announced Alaska. Not yet, says the White House. Nonetheless, the process is underway. A lot has changed after Steve Witkoff's visit to Moscow. I think that's actually true. A lot changed after Witkoff, where he brought back this news that might not have been communicated quite correctly about what the Russians were proposing. The atmosphere has changed. I don't think we could have even anticipated that everything would start spinning so fast that there would be all these statements and contacts. Of course, this is not a breakthrough. There is a lot we still don't know. We don't know whether this positive energy can be converted into something concrete, but we can draw some important conclusions even now. If we carefully look at President Trump's statements when he was talking to journalists yesterday, in addition to his social media posts, he demonstrated an ability to learn from his mistakes. Okay, so the last 3 weeks where he was zagging back toward Ukraine, talking about sanctions and secondary sanctions creating tariffs, that was all mistakes. He demonstrated an ability to learn from his mistakes. Listen, where has his maximalism gone? He says nothing about an immediate ceasefire, right? He's not talking about that at all. 152 days ago, Zelensky agreed to an immediate ceasefire. Putin hasn't. Trump's not saying anything or trying to hold Putin to that. Furthermore, look at Rubio's statements. Rubio says that an issue of territory is very important. This also has just started. It didn't happen in the past. Until now, it was categorical, either a ceasefire or sanctions. Now there is none of that. So they feel that they're getting something over on President Trump. They may very well be. I don't know what's going to happen here. Trump is demonstrating an ability to learn from his mistakes. His mistakes are being not saying what Russia wants them to say. I would simply like to say, we used to wait for something and get disappointed. There was Istanbul 1, Istanbul 2, Istanbul 3. We would discuss some sort of an ellipsis here. I've had it with an ellipsis up to here. There have been so many of them. That's a ... like waiting for something. I only want one thing. I want a point of no return. All of us are trusting and hoping. Many are tired and would like an end of military actions. Well, that's interesting that they said that they would like an end of military actions, but they think that they're getting one over on Trump. He's singing a different tune, and they think that he's going to go along with them. I don't know what's going to play out. I just can't tell what's going to play out, but it doesn't look good at first. And then I look at it and I step back and I go, but Putin is still asking for everything. And if he's still asking for everything, that may place Trump back in the same position again, or maybe Trump will try to make some kind of deal. I just don't know. Tell me what you think about what you saw here. Clearly, the Russians are encouraged by that, and that seems to be a bad thing for Ukraine. Put it in the comments below. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.